Hello guys, this is Boomerang here and welcome back to another video. And today this is episode 102 of Desert Survival. And today we will be in the Nether again. Because it seems like 8 out of 10 videos I am in this stupid dimension. And also 9 out of 10 streams I'm also in this stupid dimension. And that's because the Nether is extremely important on this world. Mainly because the Nether is normal actually. I mean, yeah, we are on the roof, but Nether floor, it's basically a normal nether, unlike the overworld, which is just super flat. But I've said this on stream a lot, but I'm planning on making this sort of nether tube signal system. Tube signal? What is a tube signal? I am planning on making this tunnel system very large and in all four directions. Now we're only in the southeastern quadrant, but today we're going to break that. We are going to break that by going west. And over there in the southwest quadrant of the Nether, I am going to be building a farm. Now, that farm I'm not going to talk about this episode, but you will find out most likely in 2. But in other words, or in for other news, I have officially started transitioning my second channel, so it will become basically an equipping channel. So stay tuned for that. Link will be in the description, of course. I will also be transitioning Discord soon, I think. I didn't know when to do it exactly. It is ready for being released, although wasn't exactly sure as to when to release it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I still don't know a date, but probably pretty soon I'd change it. But yeah, oh, I just realized I don't have any basalt. I got basically every resource except for basalt. How much do I even have left? I'm guessing like 0. Like normal basalt. It looks like it's 0. Oh, I have 35 in my inventory. Yeah, that makes sense. So without further ado, let's get started. And I will get basalt right now then, I guess. And now we wait. This will be fun. I mean, at least it's not as bad as, I guess, Blackstone or warp wood mining. That takes a lot more time, but still, this is not going to be very fun. Unless I automate it. Yeah, let me do that right now. By the way, I can't really make a change to the design of it to make it automatic. What I mean is that sometimes I just I use a little system of mine. It's not on my computer, but what I usually do is I have like a train and I put it on one of my keys and I have a Fortnite chest to prop it up and I just make that my right or left click key and that's how I automate things like that. I do the same thing with AFK fish farms, but with the right click, if you're wondering. You know, the funniest thing is that I completely forgot I removed this yesterday, so when I first logged in, I thought there was a chunk loading glitch. Anyways, yeah, we've got the basalt now. It's currently in those chests over there, so let's get started building. Now, I actually just got some more news from the secret delivery. Apparently, it'll be coming next episode, so yeah, stay tuned. Something else that will be coming with it are stackable potions, which I think will be really fun. I think I just think it'll make things a lot more fun since potions are kind of underwhelming just due to the fact that you can only have one at a time, I feel like. So yeah, let's get started building, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my ramp when I'm building one of these walls. I'm pretty sure that's what I did the last time I did this, but yeah, I'm basically gonna do the exact same thing. So first, I don't even know how long I want to go. Maybe 200 blocks around there. Probably even a bit more. I'm gonna try to get to the X negative 200. So yeah, I'm actually gonna do 4 stacks of basalt. Hopefully that should be enough. I actually just realized I need a lot more beacons if I want to go this far. So yeah, that will probably take a while getting all of that sort of stuff beaconed up. Anyways, I decided to do a little bit of a fly this way, and I will be in a warp forest. There's a gigantic warp forest, basically from like X negative 50 or whatever we're at, all the way to like X negative 500. So it isn't like we can get past it either way. That's fine though, because the idea of a farm I have is not going to be biome dependent. By the way, do you remember in the earliest Nether snapshots when and you could make Enderman farms in Warp Force and they'd be more efficient than in the end? That was quite crazy. Sadly, they nerfed the rates of them, but yeah. I guess I can make one just for fun, but I'm probably gonna make an Enderman farm in the end. I'm probably gonna do it pretty soon as well. Not exactly sure when, but yeah, it'll just be much easier for XP. I mean that in comparison to my gold farm, because it's hard to lure the zombified piglins in since turtle eggs are unobtainable and that sort of stuff. So, and since I can get an endermite from this world by ender pearls, of course, an enderman farm won't have that issue. So I get more XP from it in theory. All right, we're at X negative 223. I just placed 4 stacks of polished basalt. And yeah, now we can just fly all the way back over here and do the same thing again with the other side. Then we can fill the middle with smooth basalt. All right, so we've got this area complete. As you can see, it just goes all the way over here. And yeah, I realized I was a bit short on smooth basalt for the top, so now I'm smelting more. But yeah, I guess let's continue on with doing the sides then. Anyways, the floor is complete, so let's do the walls then, and let's do a rant while we do that. In this rant, I just want to talk about how funny it is that scientists will end up, for the most part, discovering all of this sort of crazy stuff in the universe or whatever, and then they disagree with the most trivial things ever. Like, what I mean is that, scientists have discovered, they basically pinpointed the age of the universe to 13.8 billion years. I think that's it. I have not studied astronomy in a very long time, so this is based off of memory, so a lot of this was probably going to be wrong. But yeah, they've done that. They've also managed to discover exoplanets by just monitoring the shadows of stars with like the most minuscule dips ever. They made telescopes which are magnified so much that you can even see some of them, from what I've heard. They've done all this sort of stuff, although they argue over like the most trivial stuff, like whether the moon should be considered a planet or not, or what way Venus and Uranus, or which axis Venus and Uranus has, which is the North Pole, if you know what I mean. Sorry, they argue about which axis is the North Pole on both Venus and Uranus, which I just find really funny. So the moon's a planet thing, I'm gonna get into a different rant. Although I kind of want to talk about the axis parts. You know how there's this sort of debate on whether Venus or Uranus's North Pole is over here or there. Uranus, I'm not exactly sure why it's still debated, since you can pretty easily see which direction it is just by seeing the orbits of the natural satellites. You see, when a planet forms, its natural satellites have to orbit in the same way it rotates, or at least that's what should happen. So basically, basically, they were able to find, most scientists do agree on how Uranus rotates because of that. And the thing is that the reason why it was hard for Uranus at first is because it's on its side. It's only 8 degrees away from being completely on its side. So it's either 98 degrees or negative 82 degrees. And if you count the rotation of Uranus, it looks like that the North Pole is the 98-degree pole instead of the negative 82 one. Which is kind of counterintuitive since the North Pole is further south, or at least in regard to the orbital plane, than the South Pole is. But yeah, that's kind of what is generally agreed upon. Venus, on the other hand, is much more controversial because it doesn't have a satellite. Now, yes, Venus is almost directly up and down. It has, if you're wondering, it has a rotation of negative 2 degrees. So basically completely up and down, or at least that's one of the two models. It's either 178 or negative 2. And I can't really see how it would be 178 I think the thing which trips up a lot of scientists is that Venus rotates backwards. And if you didn't know, now you do. It actually does rotate backwards. So I think because of that, some scientists are like, wait, so obviously there's some sort of collision because Venus also rotates really slowly, and it's backwards compared to basically any other planet in the solar system. So it's theorized that there's some sort of collision which did that, right? Kind of like with the impact on Earth, there was one with Venus, and this impact either slowed down the Venus so much that it rotated backwards, or started rotating backwards, or it somehow managed to flip Venus entirely upside down. Now, the latter seems to make a bit less sense, or at least for me, just being just an idiot, or just the average person, the average astronomy nerd here. It seems to make less sense for it to flip over like that. Like, how are you gonna, like, on the orbital plane, how are you going to have an object collide with, like, in order for that to happen, the object or the planet must have had to collide with basically the North Pole, gone directly south. How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna have a planet which just directly impacts like that? Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Although yet again, that did happen to Mars, or at least it's almost that is something that's just almost guaranteed, or that scientists almost entirely agree upon. It did happen to Mars. I don't know how the physics works there. My guess is that that planet just got on such an elliptical orbit just due to another planetary interaction that it managed to do that, and somehow it managed to collide with Mars like just on top, and that's why there's a massive crater on its north pole. But that seems odd, That seems like something that should be rare. And also, it would take so. I'm pretty sure. Also, like I said, I don't really know the physics, although there is a good chance as well that it probably would take even more than one impact. Well, actually, that would explain why Venus doesn't have a moon. Now that I think about it, if there was an impact so hard it flipped it upside down, yeah, that probably is why Venus doesn't have a moon. I'm just saying. And at that point, it's impossible for that other planetary object to just leave the orbit of Venus as well. And unlike with the Thea impact, isn't like that debris is going to be launched up because it's kind of mushing on the side. So that actually explains a lot in that regard. But it just seems so weird that that would happen twice. Just because of how unlikely it seems for an impact to be in that direction. And I mean twice, just twice in the inner solar system in of itself. I'm not talking about dwarf planets or anything. I'm just talking about the inner solar system. And since there used to be so many more planets in the inner solar system, who knows how many times that actually happened? That probably happened a lot of times. If we are talking about the rates that we see currently, and if that actually did happen with Venus. So it just doesn't really make a lot of sense like that, I feel like. And it just seems like the other option, just Venus was basically collided with the object almost directly at the equator going the other way. That seems a lot more probable because if that object interacted with a much larger planet, it could have been flung retrograde to the entire solar system. And if it's at the exact same orbital plane as Venus and that sort of stuff, it would collide head on with Venus, but the other way around. And if it just mushed in, kind of like what I was saying with it going for up north, but if it just kind of mushed in, that would make a lot more sense because that would cause Venus to rotate really slowly backwards, like we see today. That would also probably explain why Venus doesn't have a moon as well, because the object would, if Venus did have a moon, the object would have probably ejected it, and if it didn't, that sort of impact wouldn't create a moon, if you know what I mean. Unlike, the Thea impact, which is almost completely head on, it wouldn't launch a lot of debris out since it more just mushed together. So yeah, that's my rant done. I have not talked about astronomy in a really long time, so I'm very rusty about this. But I figured I probably should do something related to the sciences because I've not said anything about that in a very long time. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and let's get back to the video. And both walls are complete, as you can see. So now all I need to do is the roof, and then we'll be done. And by the way, this is huge. We've gotten 256 blocks. Well, actually, it's 257, but you know. Although, yeah, you can just by flying, you can just see how long this is. It's quite insane, not gonna lie. I'd also like to point out it's not very obvious right now, although so many mobs spawn in this tiny section, which is nether wastes. And then when you get to the warp forest section, and then when you get to the warp forest section, there's like so few mobs. Like I said earlier in the video, that was because Mojang in one of the early snapshots of 1.16, they nerfed Enderman spawn rates in Warp Forests. Although it's just so weird seeing the contrast between how many mobs are in the wastes. This is better. Like how packed the wastes are compared to how sparsely populated the Warp Forests are. Anyways, let's do the roof and then we should be done with this video. Alright, we've now got this tunnel complete, and I've been liking to just fly around here. Just go all the way through here. It's so satisfying, especially when it turns blue when you get into Warp Force. So satisfying. All we need to do now is to put the trapdoors on top of the shroom lights so that it looks less orange, and also we need the mob proof still. So yeah, let's just do that, and then we can call it a video. And I've got the trapdoors in and also the spawn proofing. I've also got spawn proofing on top, and yeah, we are now done with this tunnel. Or at least for now. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Oh yeah, dislike if you want to dislike as well. Peace out!